I'm Katie. I live in Houston, Texas. I was a high school art teacher. I taught 9th through 12th grade art and special education art. That is a life that I really, really miss, but for lots of different reasons left after a while. And I went to work at a independent bookstore here in Houston called Bartees Bookstore. I worked there for about a little over 3 years, and I started out as a bookseller part-time, then I immediately went full-time bookseller, and then I kind of transitioned to an operations assistant. And I did that all through the really difficult parts of the pandemic. And working in retail during a pandemic it'll do something to you. I really loved that job. Summer before last, my mom got sick, as some people know, and I, for many reasons, left that job. And I don't know if I necessarily regret it, but I definitely miss it. I miss being in that world. I loved the book world and the creativity that it allowed me, and the people I was around, and the events I got to work, and the people I got to meet. But it was just time to go. I needed something different for just being more available to my family. And so I left that, and now I work at another high school as a testing center coordinator. So I help students who deal with high anxiety or ADHD and they need extra time on exams. They come to see me, so I coordinate that, create a safe space for them to work and take tests. Most of my days are pretty relaxed but very busy. I sometimes see 10 kids in a day, and then some days I see 60 kids. It just depends on what testing looks like on any given week. So that's what I do currently. I don't know if it's what I'll do forever, but it's what I do now. I like being in a school. I like being around high schoolers. I kind of wanted to give this a shot and see if I like doing this, if I like filming myself talk about books, if it makes it easier for me to talk about books. I don't know, I've just been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for fun. It might help me with my anxiety that I have, kind of over social anxiety and just general feeling like I'm not an authority on anything, so why should anyone care what I have to say or what my opinions are? But I love books. I love watching just mundane daily vlogs. I love seeing people talk about their own mental health journeys and cooking food and going on walks with their dogs and having a glass of wine outside at a cafe by themselves and just doing life things. It's really fun. Like, I don't feel like this needs to be like I'm doing like this big grand thing or I'm going on this like big trip or doing something exciting. It can literally be just me at my house living life, and there just so happens to be books and other creative endeavors or other creative things that I'm excited to share, whether that be music or me, all over the place. This is how my brain works. I like wrote down what I kind of wanted to say in this notebook, and I have not opened it, and I'm literally just winging it and hoping I remember what I wrote, and that's never a good idea for me. Oh, there were a lot of reasons where I've been thinking about doing this for like maybe a little over a year. After I discovered Rebecca Eats Books and CJ Reads, I was like, oh my God, I like watched all of their vlogs. I was like, these are the greatest things ever. Like, I could watch this. This is more entertaining to me than like a TV show. Like, just seeing people read and have fun and talk to the camera and cook a nice dinner for them, having their morning coffee. I was just like, I like this. I like just seeing people live. Living for the past few years has been really, really hard for many reasons, and everyone's reasoning for why things have been hard or different. But I feel like I'm just coming out of that and learning how to cope with all of that and make me want to try new things. And this is like one of those things that's like a new, out of my comfort zone thing that I've been wanting to try, and kind of finally felt the push to do it. Off script again. And yeah, and like another reason I was like, oh, I shouldn't start this is because I'm not cool enough. We don't own this house that I live in, and I love this house, it's beautiful, but it's very old, and at times I'm like, oh, this isn't exactly how I'd want it, or oh, I never painted that wall, because I was like, why? I just didn't feel like it was worth maybe the effort, even though I've lived here almost 4 years, and I'm like, oh, there's that giant crack in the ceiling or on the wall, and I guess I saw it as like, oh, it's embarrassing, I don't want anyone to see how my house looks, or oh, that paint's peeling on the windowsill. And it needed to have this certain aesthetic to my life before I could do this. and it doesn't really need to be perfect, and my house doesn't look like somebody else's, and that was just something I needed to get over. I also thought, oh, I need to look a certain way, like I need to dress a certain way. I feel like I don't have the cool girl wardrobe, and I don't have the cool girl wardrobe. I have a semi-professional job at a high school where I have to dress a certain way. It's maybe not necessarily how I'd want to dress on a regular basis. Like I'd probably be happy with like a black t-shirt or gray t-shirt and ripped jeans on a regular basis. And most days I'm wearing like loft things, and that's totally fine. I've had this dress for probably 12 years, and was I like, oh, I shouldn't film myself in that dress? Yeah, I was, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. Also just helped me get over all of these weird rules I've made for myself. Oh, another like reason I want to do this is because I recently found Allison pages on Instagram, as well as Kai from Pressed Pages and Lillian from Paperback Stacks. And like those videos that they all create are phenomenal. Lillian and Kai are both newer to YouTube, and I feel like I started watching their videos pretty much when they started like coming out. And so like I feel like I've been there from like the beginning watching, and it's like, oh, I can do this. Even people who have been making videos for years are like, they're real. They're not perfect videos. They're not meant to be perfect. Like, do I think they're perfect? Yeah. But it's like, I guarantee that whoever's making the videos doesn't feel that what they're making is to them perfect. And I think there's a real beauty in that. And maybe that's what needs to be shared more, those like imperfect videos and real life. And I feel like they're doing a great job of that. I don't want to put pressure on myself with this. I kind of want it to just be fun. Filming, I feel like filming. If I don't feel like filming, I don't. If I read a book and I'm like, I don't know what I just read, I'll just be like, I don't really understand what I just read. And hopefully somebody else will help me out and comment and say, oh, I got this out of this book, or hey, I also feel the same way. And I feel like with BookTube and Bookstagram, a lot of times there was a lot of pressure, because I kind of had a Bookstagram a few years ago. I feel like I have to like this book because it seems like everyone else likes it, or oh, I need to have like this big idea or feeling or takeaway from this book. And I maybe necessarily didn't get it, want to read it. I felt kind of maybe more pressure to read it because I was like, oh, it's part of the part of what's going around the internet right now that's big, so I should read it, I should like it. And I was like, I guess I like it. And it's like, I had no idea what I was reading. I feel like I said everything I want to say, but I probably also didn't. And I also feel that I will definitely get more comfortable doing this and talking in front of a camera, but I want it to be fun, and I want to get more comfortable. Don't want to feel like I'm putting on, not an act necessarily, but putting on like a certain facade for when I do this, because my anxiety is so high. So I'm hoping that as this video went on, maybe like how it started 14 minutes ago, I'm looking at now, how it started and how it's ending, I do feel that I've kind of melted a bit in a good way. Melted in the sense that I've let go of whatever I was feeling I needed to do or be or look like or act in my head, and have kind of fallen more into how I actually am in real life. I'm an introvert. Most people can't always tell, but then they also can really tell. I know how to be an extrovert when I need to be, don't like it, and it's exhausting, and definitely an introvert. I might make this kind of a vlog. Let me grab something. Okay, so right now I'm reading Pond. This is not my first time reading Pond, okay? I read this in 2017 when I was really getting back into reading consistently. I did not get it at all. Like I remember reading the words and not actually processing the words. Beautiful cover, and was like, oh, I want to read that because the cover is stunning. And I wanted it for my collection. I had this beautiful hardcover edition, and I read it and was like, oh my God, I loved it, because I thought I once again had to love it, and there was something I was supposed to get and I didn't get, and I just didn't want to be left out. I wasn't good enough of a reader that I didn't understand or like this or say that out loud. So I just kind of said, this is a great book, and I put it back on my shelf, and I eventually got rid of it. And watching BookTube, just seeing more and more people talk about it. And also when Rebecca Eats Books said when she first read it, she also put it down, and then she picked it up years later and because she was a different reader and because she had read so much and grown so much as a reader over the years, she felt that she could read it again with like fresh eyes and like understanding more about the things that were maybe talked about in here because she had read more and had time away to grow as a person and a reader. And I think that was really important, and it was nice to hear someone else say they didn't really click with it when they first read it. It made me want to get it, and then I realized I gave away my copy. And so I did a post on Instagram being like, hey, if anyone has this, I want it secondhand. Please let me know and I will Venmo you money. And Kai kindly said they had a copy and sent it to me. And I picked it up over the weekend and got to page 35, and I still feel a little bit like I don't understand this, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm giving this a go again. Only 35 pages in. Might make this kind of a hey, get to know me vlog / reading vlog of this. I don't know. Who knows if I'll actually ever let this video see the light of day. I may just leave all of this content on my phone forever. I gotta go. My mom's about to pick me up and I need to go get myself ready for that. So thanks for listening for 20 minutes of recording of me. To make this more of like a vlog, I guess, her first vlog, I decided to make pumpkin bread for some reason, even though it's December, but I stashed this Trader Joe's pumpkin bread from back in October, and I was gonna make it after Thanksgiving, and then I completely forgot and got sick and just didn't get around to it. And I got out of work early. I get out of work early pretty much every day this week because it's finals week, and I'm just proctoring exams for juniors and seniors every day, and tomorrow's the last day. So I've been getting out around lunchtime. Sorry, Hero's staring at me because I took out his favorite snack, which is pumpkin seeds. Let's try and multitask. I'm really bad at talking and cooking at the same time. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Let me get some scissors. And Hero's in here underfoot. I will probably trip over him 10 times. So I like cooking. I grew up in a house with a mom who cooked all the time. She followed a lot of recipes and did her own thing, and she just knew how to cook really well and learned from her grandma. And I just grew up watching my mom and helping out where I was allowed to help out in the kitchen. And I just kind of learned things, and we're not bakers in our house, hence the boxed cake mix. We are not bakers. We do not enjoy measuring or being precise. Hang on, what am I looking for? A spoon. Let's get a spoon. Okay, when I met Michael, he basically lived off of frozen pizzas from the gas station. And when I met him, I kind of knew how to cook. And I started looking up recipes to try and teach myself how to cook a bit more, and to try new things. And I realized really quickly what our bodies could and couldn't handle, or what his really couldn't handle. So I really started adjusting and cooking for ourselves because I knew what was going to be in our food. Okay, it needs half a cup of vegetable oil. I'm reading it, I'm holding the vegetable, and I'm looking at the measuring cup, but I cannot process that half a cup is half a cup. So I'm gonna, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna measure this first. Okay, I've had multiple creative endeavors in my life, and some have worked, some have not. So I had this food blog that I started, or food newsletter that I started for 2019. So a couple months before the pandemic. And I started, I'm gonna get 1 cup of water, hang on. So I started that food blog or food newsletter, and it was really fun. I was trying new recipes. I was kind of trying to do riffs on meat dishes and making them vegetarian because we're vegetarian, and my own recipe each week, and write up a little thing about it and a little essay, and it was just kind of fun. And I forgot the eggs. I started the food newsletter. It was really fun. It was going well. Friends were mainly subscribed to it. It was just a fun, creative little thing. And then the pandemic happened. I'm gonna throw these away. How do people on cooking shows do this? I can't do this many things at one time. Okay. Living during the pandemic and cooking is whatever we can get, we'll make meals out of. If it can be, lots of vegetables and stuff, we'll make a meal out of it. And so Experimenting wasn't really a big deal. I started experiencing a lot more mental health problems during the pandemic where food just became another really big stressor for me. And it still is a really big stressor for me. I stopped doing the newsletter because I was like, well, there's really no point in doing it. And I was not fully, it was kind of more stressful than it really needed to be. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself for some reason. So I just stopped doing it. And then I'm adding extra cinnamon because there's never enough cinnamon. And I'm adding some vanilla because I don't think they put any vanilla in this, and that's just not okay. You should always have vanilla. Venturing, did I put everything? Okay, we got the package of mix, 2 large eggs, half a cup of vegetable, and 1 cup of water. Not that hard. Also, before I filmed this, I fitted this parchment paper to this pan, loaf pan, and I had to cut it so many times just to get it right because I refuse to measure it, and there's just no point. And it'll be fine. It's gonna come out, it's gonna taste like something, and we're gonna eat it no matter what. I realized yesterday that when I was talking about the book, Pond, I forgot to mention that the author is Claire-Louise Bennett. I'm gonna do more of a reading update on that. I need to actually sit and try and read it, hopefully today. Hence why I'm making this, so that I can hopefully eat some of this and drink some coffee and maybe read and possibly chat more about that. Whoopsie. I don't foresee this being a food thing at all. Like, I just so happen to want to make this and have the time, and I thought it'd be fun. And this is just like a fun little intro vlog, so I thought, why not? It's gonna be a whole lot of talking on this vlog. I'm hoping my other ones won't be as chatty or as all over the place. Oh, by the way, I like to put chocolate chips on my pumpkin breads, so we're gonna put some chocolate chips. They're probably all gonna sink to the middle, but it'll be a great gooey surprise. Also, I'm gonna put the pumpkin seeds once this bakes for a little while, and then when it's somewhat set, I'll put the pumpkin seeds on top. Also, I don't want this to burn, so I'm gonna put this in the oven. Maybe we'll see it later, maybe we won't, who really knows. But here's the pumpkin bread. She's gloopy and she'll be beautiful. Okay, bye. Everybody, it is Thursday, and today was the last day of finals at my school, so I am officially off for the holiday break until early January. And I did some reading finally. I feel like this week I've been wanting to read and then just getting distracted by a ton of things and having free time finally. I just wanted to do way too much, and there really wasn't enough time to do it all. But I finally got about maybe halfway through Pond by Claire-Louise Bennett, or second time reading it. First time I read it, 2017, it kind of went right over my head, and I just maybe didn't get it, or it just wasn't the right book for me at the time. But I'm currently rereading it about halfway through. I'd say I still have a lot of the same feelings I remember having while reading it the first time. I'm reading words, but I'm not maybe putting them together. And honestly, maybe that's kind of the point. It's written in a very stream of conscious way by our unnamed narrator. And they're in like these smaller, some of them are like kind of more chapter or short story like, and others are 1 page, 1 or 2 sentences. I did write a little something in the back as I was reading, just to kind of remind myself of what I was feeling as I was reading it. And it reads like you're in the narrator's head as her inner monologue or inner narration of her life. And she's saying everything in an unfiltered way, in a beautiful way, like in a very writerly way of observing the world and processing your own feelings. But she's also monologuing things that she maybe would never say out loud, or if she did, no one else would really get it, which is maybe why at times when reading this, I'm like, wait, what did I just read? What were those? What was that sentence? What was she just talking about? I feel like we were just talking about one thing and now we're off on another. And it also read as a journal, or at least the way I would want to journal. I am a really consistent journaler. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And I noticed that I'll be trying to fall asleep at night and I'm thinking about how I want to journal about something, or I'm thinking about how I did journal about something and how I maybe should have written about it. And it honestly, it doesn't matter because it's my personal journal, but I'm writing it in a more writerly way when I'm thinking about it in my head, and when I'm actually putting it on paper, I'm just trying to get it out. And it comes out a lot more simplified, like whatever I'm maybe, if it's, I'm trying to unpack something that happened throughout the day, or an event that happened, or just my own feelings, or looking back on the past and processing things. I want to write them in so much more detail and so much more depth in a more writerly, interesting way, just for me to look back on. And then what I end up writing is a lot more, this is what happened, this is how I felt. It's kind of stripped a bit more bare. And the narrator is writing almost in her journal in a really thoughtful way. Like she's processing everything and writing it the way she's feeling it and the way she remembers experiencing it or is experiencing it. You know what I'm trying to say? I want to finish reading this. That's my goal, is to finish reading this. I'm going to try and figure out what I want to maybe read next. I'm thinking about, maybe this wasn't the best book to pick for the first vlog, but it's what I was reading, and it's also been kind of interesting to reread something and make a vlog about it in a book that I read in 2017. And I am remembering a lot about my experience reading it. I'm feeling a lot of the same feelings, but I'm also feeling a lot of different things about it, and I'm noticing different things about it and getting different things out of it that I didn't get or maybe remember. And that's kind of interesting just to see as a reader how I have grown. Another book I'm thinking I might squeeze in, I want to do another short book. My attention span at the end of the year is a lot shorter. I don't know if it's just the weather or just being tired from the first semester, but I'm thinking of reading something short, and this is making the rounds on BookTube as well. It's Paradise Rot by Hval. I might read that. We'll see. My goal for the next couple of videos, I want to get this one out really soon, and then I want to make a end of the year reading, some, like, not summary, but my top favorite books. And then I'm thinking of doing my top albums of the year, and then in January starting a new vlog, maybe like the last few days of December going into January. And I want to make it backlog January. So I want to focus on reading books on my shelf that have maybe been sitting there for 3 or more years and have just been sitting on my shelf. I should probably read that, and then I pick up a new release instead. So I think I'm going to make January a full, maybe 2 vlogs of just reading backlog books. And I'm going to get more into that in my end of the year wrap up, because I want to explain my reasoning for it. It's not a huge reason, but I just want to kind of, I think reflecting on my favorite books this year has kind of informed my decision to really focus on what I already own a bit more going into this new year. But I wanted to end on a little something. I think this is how we're going to end every video. I think it's just the feel I want for this video or channel. Okay, I'm gonna get closer. So, remember to read what you like and don't judge others or what they read. Take care of your shelf and always be kind.
Why not? Just to the end. Just be kind.
Does everybody want to say hi to Hero real quick? I think he wants to be in the video. Here he is. He has a sad paw right now because he has an owie and he won't leave it alone. So we had to wrap it up in a sock with a scrunchie. Watching him walk around with it is hilarious and really, really sad. But there he is. This is Hero. He's so sweet. Okay, bye.